Okay, we are ready to update this 23.10 Siebel environment, this development environment, design repository environment to 24.6. So we have downloaded and extracted the MDE, the modular deployment engine, the Siebel installer for Windows from my Oracle support. So this is the result of the extraction. You have a disk1 folder, and we have an install folder, and there's the setup button we will run. Before we run it, make sure that you have backed up your database. Take a backup of your development database or the environment database, and also take a backup or snapshots of all the machines to quickly recover in case anything goes wrong. And also make sure that you have stopped the environment. So here I have a single stack machine. I have made sure to have stopped my Siebel server. I have stopped the Tomcats. So all these pieces will be updated so that they must be stopped. There'll be no file locks. Also make sure that you have no scanners, no antivirus active on these folders, lest they lock a file that the binary installer would like to write. So we are ready to go. Run the setup batch file on Windows as administrator, and we'll get the installer. So the installer starts by prompting the existing homes. So I start with the SES, which is the home of the Siebel server and gateway in my case, and also the external AI. So it's a development machine. So I also have tools and client, and I have a sidecar for Kafka integration. So I will have to update all these homes. I will have to run it 4 times. If I choose the SES home folder, then it will prompt for the backup location if I want to have a different one, but that's okay. And it will prompt for the database parameters, which is the post-installation database update. Let's go full screen. And it will try to read that information from a upgrade configuration file, a UCF file. If that's not present, then you will have to enter all these values manually. So choose your database platform. You can choose to execute it. It's the first run of the MDE on a Siebel server, so you should definitely execute it if you can. You can skip it, run it later manually, or you can defer and generate DDL files only. So if you run it once successfully, the post-install database update, then the next time it comes up, you can safely skip it because it has to run once per environment, once per data or once per database. So I have to fill in those passwords here. And that check out the ODBC data source, of course, must be a safe 32-bit ODBC data source. And if you happen to have other languages installed, language packs, so your base language might probably be English, make sure to shift select or control select. Make sure you highlight any language, all the languages. That is a safe way to ensure that when you can check in the summary that all these languages will be imported as well. So we don't want to restart any services. So let's go back to normal viewing. You can optionally restart services after the post-install database completes, but let's not do that. And here in the summary, make sure that your other languages, for example, are present. So in my case, they are. So I'm ready to hit install. So this will, of course, kick off the binary. It will first take a backup of folders and files. It will import the binaries. It will replace the binary files in the folders, in the home folder, the DLLs and whatnot. It will also place the new post-install database zip file into the bin folder. And since we run post-install database update here, it will then proceed to run the utility, which will depending on your gap between the Siebel versions, will take anything from a few minutes to maybe an hour, because the more gap, the more it has to run. And the post-install database update will incur schema changes in your database. It will import seed data, and it will also import any mandatory manifest data. So that amount and type of object depends on how many versions you are jumping. So I'm jumping from 23.10 to 24.6, so that's 8 versions that for which mandatory updates will be applied to the database schema, seed data, and probably manifest. So you just have to, of course, make sure that you're patient and wait it out, maybe monitor it a little bit. And the post-install database update will also provide us with a log file and a report. And since 24.2, by the way, there's a new view, which we can check out later, where you have this report in your database tables for eternity and analysis. So let's just let it run its course, and we'll come back when anything interesting happens. So now it's about to, copy over the binaries for the selected home. And we can see after a few moments, after applying the binary update, it runs the post-install database setup. So that's running. We can, of course, monitor it a little bit. Let's say use Task Manager. We'll see that, several utilities run in quick succession. So you can see the post-install database setup itself with its command line, and you will see it spawns, for example, ODBC SQL calls to check out the database. And you will see different, depending on your version you're coming from, you'll see different things happening. So here it's still querying the database for information, running ODBC SQL. It's quite fast, but here it is. And once that's done, it will probably start applying schema changes or so. But again, you be safe. That's all written to a big log file. You will get a report. So just keep an eye on it. Your system will be busy for a while now. So we'll come back once it's finished and check out what has happened exactly. All right, so it took quite a while, but it has finished successfully. So that means that from the MDE perspective, everything was A-OK. But of course, we have to do some verification steps. So let's finish that run of the MDE. So now we have an updated SES folder. So that was the home we updated. That has now the binaries. If you have Tomcat in it, the external Tomcat, JavaScript, etc., as of 24.6, you can see all these folders have been updated. So there's definitely new content in there. So if you took a backup of the entire machine or the entire home folder, you have a safe way to go back. Inside this one, it leaves a log file. So go to Siebel server log, and that's your current instance of Siebel server. It's not started yet, but we have the post-install database setup log file and a report. So probably the first thing you want to do, check out the post-install database report, which will have different information depending on the version you're coming from. So in our case, we have spanned 8 versions from 23.10, that is starting at 11 and going all the way up to 24.6. So I always take a look in the schema tab so you understand which tables have been inserted or updated. So in this case, it's a new table included in 24.2. So you have had a schema change, and that's the table we mentioned with the information about written into it what actually happened during the upgrade. There's also a upgrade factory related table, and yeah, change to the event subscription tables, including 24.6. So several schema changes from 24.2 to 24.6 visible here. No manifest in that, so that's also proof that Redwood theme requires a repository upgrade, because post-install database setup does not import any manifest here, even 24.6. And seed data, we have well, the cumulative seed data from 23.11 to 24.6 that is mandatory for running Siebel. Five list of values, entries related to object wizards, and we have some rules, that is personalization rules, rule sets being updated. So yeah, that's it. So there's not much going on, but there's still a lot going on. You could say it like that. And if you want to have more details, you can always check out the text log file that is in the same folder, and that will have each and every run of command line. You've seen these ODBC SQLs a lot that run to, well, do all kinds of stuff on the database. And we will also see the Siebel DEV CLI executable at least once. Here, in this case, it has been run to enable workspace on seed extension column. That was the only run here, interesting enough. But yeah, that's the case. And there's also a return code, so check out the bookshelf guide, the upgrade guide in bookshelf. It has an explanation of these return codes, so in case anything looks a little bit odd. So let's check out the bookshelf. Of course, you have to make sure that you take the bookshelf you're updating to, so update your bookmarks. So we're taking the 24.6 bookshelf here, and we check out the database upgrade guide. Let me use the PDF so I can search faster. And with a little bit of searching or knowing where to look for, you find the post-installation database update exit codes defined. And let's see what 12 means. 12 means the workspace ranking was not applicable, seed and schema was successful, and workflow and task upgrade was also not applicable. So obviously it depends on the version you're coming from if these things run. And if anything here is NA or successful, you're good. So 12 is good. 12 is a good value. So of course we have to run it a few more times. That again could depend. You have to run it on different machines, of course, because we want to update every Siebel software on this environment. So that includes, of course, Siebel Tools on your developer machines. You have Siebel Tools, make sure you update that. So I run the installer just with the defaults. Siebel Tools and Siebel Developer Web Client, if you're still using it, the update goes pretty fast, just a few minutes, and you're done with that. So we'll come back when this is finished. So Tools update has been finished. And well, since we have a developer web client, let's run this one more time. And it's very similar to the Siebel Tools update, so just replaces the binaries. And we're done with the developer web client. So that is just, of course, on your developer workstation, if you will. And final thing on my machine here that might not necessarily apply to any of your environments, but I have a I have another Siebel installation on this machine which I would like to update, which is the Sidecar Tomcat, a complete Siebel home where I run the Sidecar Tomcat for the Kafka integration. So of course you have to make sure to update that accordingly. So this will be a update to that Siebel home where the Sidecar resides, and we'll let it run its course. So that final run of the MDE update installer has finished. So that machine is fully updated to 24.6 now. We can finish that. And of course the proof is in the pudding, as they say. So I've already started a script to launch the environment. So that Siebel server is already running. Here's the script, so I can make sure that my environment is coming up successfully. So I will try and log on to, for example, Siebel SMC. And well, whoa, the effect of the 24.6 update. Even if you don't run the repository upgrade, you get an update to your login pages for Siebel. If you haven't modified the standard login page, that is Siebel Management Console has a brand new login page. And of course, the look and feel of Management Console or Migration App or whatever did not change. And neither did your, despite the login page. So that's actually the old login page. So maybe just the cache. Let's see. Yeah, it was the browser cache, so that's an interesting one. And also your application login page will get updated. And if you have any customizations to that, okay, that's 24.6. You might have to redo your customizations. And if you log in, though, it will just use whatever theme your user had before. So in my case, it's Aurora tab. And if you're looking for the Redwood theme, which is the big one in 24.6, and you have just run the update and post-install database update, the mandatory bits, you will not have it in your list. So that would be side menu for Redwood, but it would just have Aurora. So there will be no Redwood side menu theme, because simply it's not available yet because we haven't run the repository upgrade. So, and of course we want to run the repository upgrade here. So that's what we cover in the next video. Thanks for watching this one. Take care and bye-bye.